The arena was larger than any city on Earth. Its walls reached into the sky, glowing with strange alien lights. Thousands of beings from across the galaxy had come to watch. Their voices mixed together like thunder, deep and powerful, echoing through the massive halls. They had gathered for one purpose: to judge Earth. The galaxy had long believed Earth to be weak. Fragile humans, small in number, hidden away on their blue world. Many powerful species said humans had no warriors, no champions, no one worth remembering. To them, Earth was only a planet of soft creatures, destined to be ruled or ignored. And yet, on this day, a single human stood in the center of the arena. He was a cadet, young and still new to the ways of war. His uniform was plain compared to the shining armor of the alien guards. He carried no weapon. He had no army behind him. But still he stood tall. The crowd roared with laughter and mockery. Some called him weak. Others asked why the council had even allowed a human into the arena. To them it was already a joke. What could this small creature possibly prove? The alien council, seated high above, began the trial. Their voices carried across the arena, cold and sharp. Earth has no fighters, they declared. Earth breeds no warriors. The humans are soft. They cannot stand against the galaxy. The cadet raised his head. His eyes scanned the sea of alien faces staring back at him. He saw towering reptilian warlords with scales like armor, insectoid generals with blades for arms, and tall crystalline beings whose bodies shone like fire. Every species in the arena was stronger, larger, more dangerous than him. But his expression did not change. He took a slow breath. The silence between the council's words stretched across the arena. The cadet did not shake. He did not step back. Instead, he whispered to himself, words so soft only he could hear. They don't know. They don't understand. The council continued their judgment. If Earth dares claim strength, then let it be tested here. Let this cadet prove what his kind is worth. Let the galaxy see the truth with its own eyes. A low hum spread through the crowd as the first challenger stepped forward. The ground shook beneath his feet. He was a giant, taller than two men with skin like stone and armor fused into his body. His eyes glowed red as he stared down at the human. The crowd cheered, hungry for an easy victory. They wanted to see the human crushed, but the cadet did not flinch. His heart pounded in his chest, but his legs held firm. He had trained for this moment. He had dreamed of proving that Earth was more than the galaxy believed. And now he was here, alone yet carrying the weight of his entire world on his shoulders. As the challenger approached, the cadet thought of home. He thought of the blue skies of Earth, the oceans, the mountains, and the history of his people. Earth had known struggle. Earth had known war. Time and time again, humans had faced impossible odds and survived. They were not the strongest, not the fastest, not the most advanced, but they had something others did not: the will to keep fighting no matter the cost. The challenger roared, shaking the walls of the arena. The sound was like thunder, terrifying and full of power. Many in the crowd leaned forward, eager for the end. The cadet's lips curled into the smallest of smiles. The moment stretched into silence. It was as if the entire galaxy waited for what would happen next. The cadet raised one hand, slow and steady, his finger pointing toward his chest. His voice, though young, carried across the arena with surprising strength. "You asked why Earth breeds no fighters," he said. His words were clear, simple, and strong. "You're looking at one." The arena froze. The laughter stopped. The challenger halted his step. Even the council leaned forward in their high seats. The human cadet had spoken not with fear, but with certainty. His words echoed through the arena, carried by every corner of the hall. For the first time, the galaxy saw not weakness in him, but fire. The challenger let out another roar, but it was no longer met with cheers. The crowd was silent now, watching with sharp eyes. Something had changed. The cadet had not fought yet. He had not struck a single blow. But with only his words, he had already done the impossible. He had made the galaxy listen. And in that silence, one thought grew stronger with every passing second. What if this human was more than they believed? The cadet stood firm, his gaze locked on the challenger, his heart steady. The trial had only begun, but already, the galaxy understood one thing it had never believed before. Earth still bred warriors. The silence in the arena did not last long. Soon the laughter returned, louder than before, echoing from every corner. Alien voices shouted insults, their words sharp and cruel. "Is this what Earth calls a warrior?" One voice hissed. "Fragile bones, thin skin. No claws, no armor, no strength," another mocked. "They send a child to fight men," shouted a third. The cadet stood alone in the center, his head high, his eyes steady. He did not answer the jeers. He did not raise his voice. But inside, his chest burned with quiet fire. Every insult was like fuel, adding to the strength already inside him. Above the crowd, the alien council spoke again. Their words were calm but cruel. "Earth is a world of farmers and dreamers. You have no armies. You have no heroes. Tell us, human, what gives you the right to stand here in this place of warriors?" The cadet finally moved. His hand brushed across his plain uniform, then fell to his side. His voice was calm but clear enough to reach even the highest seats. "History gives me that right," he said. The crowd erupted in laughter again. Some aliens laughed so hard they pounded their fists against the metal stands. Others hissed and clapped their claws, mocking the young human. The cadet's words to them were nothing but a weak excuse. But the cadet did not stop. He spoke louder now, steady and certain. "Earth has no armies, yes. We do not command fleets like you. We do not conquer stars like you. But we have faced storms, hunger, and endless war. We fought not for power, but for survival. And every time we rose again." The laughter began to fade, not stop but soften. Some in the crowd tilted their heads. Others frowned. His words had weight, even if they did not want to admit it. Still, one alien general stood, tall and armored in plates of steel. His voice boomed like a cannon. "Words, always words. Weak creatures speak of history because they have no strength today. Show us your proof, human, or leave this place in shame." The council agreed. A low, deep tone rang through the arena, signaling the beginning of the trial. From the shadows, the first challenger entered. He was massive, his body covered in black armor that seemed to grow from his skin. His claws scraped against the floor as he walked. His eyes glowed red, filled with hunger for victory. He was a warrior from a species bred only for battle. The crowd cheered wildly. This was what they had come to see. A human crushed under the weight of true power. The cadet's heartbeat quickened, but his legs did not move. He watched the challenger approach. His mind raced, not with fear, but with memory. He remembered his training on Earth, the long nights of drills, the hours of running until his legs burned, the bruises, the falls, the lessons of his teachers. He remembered the history he had studied, battles where humans had faced overwhelming odds and survived. Earth was not made of muscle or claws. Earth was made of spirit. The challenger stopped only a few feet away, towering over the cadet like a mountain. He raised his clawed hand and pointed it down at the human. His voice rumbled deep, almost like thunder. "Your kind has no place here," he growled. "I will break you before their eyes. Then all will see the truth." The cadet tilted his head upward, meeting the alien's glowing eyes. His lips curved into a faint smile. "We will see," he said simply. The signal was given. The trial had begun. The alien roared and charged forward. His claws slashed through the air, fast and deadly. The cadet leapt aside, rolling across the floor. The crowd shouted in excitement. Some cheered for the alien. Others gasped at the human's quickness. The challenger attacked again, his claws cutting through the ground where the cadet had just been standing. Dust rose into the air. Sparks flew. The cadet moved lightly on his feet, dodging each blow by inches. It was not strength that kept him alive. It was speed, training and focus. The cadet struck back. Quick jabs with his fists, targeting weak spots in the alien's armor. The blows were small compared to the challenger's size, but each one landed with precision. The alien snarled in anger, swinging harder, faster. The arena shook with every strike. The crowd roared with every move. But something strange began to happen. The laughter started to fade again. Murmurs replaced it. Whispers spread across the stands. The human was still standing. The cadet's chest rose and fell with heavy breaths, but his eyes shone bright. He dodged another strike, slipping close to the alien's chest, and landed a solid punch right below the armor plates. The alien stumbled back, growling. Gasps rippled through the crowd. No one had expected it. No one had believed a human could make a warrior like this stumble. The cadet did not stop. He pressed forward, striking again, faster, sharper. His movements were not wild. They were trained, measured. Each strike spoke of discipline, not desperation, and as he fought, his voice rang out once more. You say Earth breeds no warriors, but every human carries the spirit of survival. We fight because we must. We endure because we have no choice. And today, you will see that spirit in me. The crowd was silent now, their eyes locked on the cadet. The alien challenger growled in frustration, his strikes turning wilder, less controlled. The cadet's calm movements only made the difference clearer. The fight was not over. But already the galaxy was beginning to wonder. Maybe they had been wrong. The cadet stood his ground, ready for the next strike. His body was small, his strength limited, but his spirit was unshaken. And in that moment, the mockery of Earth began to fade, replaced by something new: fear. The arena floor shook as the challenger regained his balance. His red eyes glowed brighter with fury. The crowd screamed for blood, their voices sharp and wild, echoing against the metal walls. Many shouted for the alien to finish it quickly. They wanted to see the human crushed, but the cadet did not step back. His breathing was heavy, sweat on his forehead, but his stance was steady. His fists were raised, his body ready. His eyes stayed locked on the towering warrior before him. The alien let out a roar so deep it rattled the air. He lunged forward with terrifying speed, claws aimed for the cadet's chest. The cadet twisted aside at the last second. The claws tore through the floor where he had stood, sending sparks flying. The crowd gasped. A few voices shouted in disbelief. The cadet did not waste the moment. He struck quick and precise, hitting a joint in the alien's armored arm. The blow was not powerful, but it forced the arm to bend awkwardly. The alien grunted in pain, swinging his other arm wildly. The cadet ducked low, the claws slicing the air above his head. It was a dance of survival. The cadet could not match the alien's strength, but he could outthink him, outmaneuver him. Every dodge, every strike, every movement was guided by training and instinct. The alien grew angrier with every miss. His roars grew louder, his attacks faster but less controlled. He was a beast blinded by rage. The cadet, though his body ached, kept calm. His movements were sharp, measured. The council watched from above, their glowing eyes fixed on the fight. Some whispered to each other. Others leaned forward, curious now in a way they had not been before. The cadet's thoughts returned again to Earth. He remembered stories of soldiers who had stood against impossible odds. He remembered his instructors telling him, "Strength is not in muscle, it is in will." The alien charged again, swinging both arms in a crushing strike. The cadet rolled forward, sliding beneath the giant's body. In one motion, he sprang up behind him and drove his elbow into the alien's exposed back. The alien stumbled, crashing to his knees. The crowd erupted. Some cheered in disbelief. Others shouted in anger. The sound was a storm of confusion. The cadet did not smile. He did not celebrate. His focus remained sharp, his breathing steady. The trial was not over. One mistake could mean death. The alien rose again, slower now, his breath ragged. His armor was scratched, his pride wounded. He turned his head toward the human, hatred burning in his eyes. "You are nothing," he growled. "Nothing but a fragile insect." The cadet lifted his chin. His voice was calm, almost soft, yet it carried through the arena. "Fragile, maybe," he said, "but not broken." The alien roared and charged once more, claws wide. This time the cadet did not dodge. He stepped forward, closing the distance. The alien's claws scraped across his arm, drawing blood, but the cadet ignored the pain. He drove his fist upward, striking the alien's jaw with all the strength his body could give. The impact rang like a hammer against stone. The alien staggered backward, stunned. The cadet pressed forward, striking again. Once, twice, 3 times. Each blow sharp and relentless. The alien tried to swing again, but his arms moved slower now, heavy with exhaustion. The cadet slipped past the claws and delivered a final strike to the alien's chest. The giant stumbled, his knees buckling. Then, with a crash that shook the arena floor, he fell. Silence. The entire arena froze. The crowd that had laughed at the human now stared in disbelief. The air was heavy with shock. The cadet stood in the center, chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. His arm bleeding, but his stance unshaken. His eyes moved across the arena, meeting the gaze of thousands of alien spectators. "You asked for proof," he said, his voice steady despite the blood on his lips. This is the proof. Earth may be small, Earth may be fragile, but Earth breeds fighters. And I am one of them. The silence lingered for a long moment. Then whispers began to spread. Whispers turned to murmurs. Murmurs turned into gasps. Entire sections of the arena leaned forward, their mocking smiles gone. The alien challenger groaned on the ground, defeated. For the first time in the trial's history, a human had brought down one of the galaxy's most feared warriors. The council leaned forward in their seats. Their eyes glowed brighter, their voices low but sharp. "This is unexpected," one of them whispered. The cadet wiped the blood from his arm. His body trembled with pain, but his spirit stood tall. He had survived the first trial, but deep inside he knew this was only the beginning. The council would not stop with one challenger. The galaxy would not be silenced so easily. And as he looked into the crowd, he saw the truth in their eyes. Fear. Not fear of him alone, but fear of what he represented. If one human cadet could defeat such a warrior, what would happen if Earth sent many? The cadet drew a long breath, steadying himself. The arena lights dimmed for the next round. The trial was not over. The galaxy still doubted, but now doubt was mixed with something new, respect. And as the cadet stood ready, the whispers of a legend began to spread. Earth breeds warriors after all. The insectoid warrior's blade-like arms slashed again, whistling through the air like sharpened steel. The cadet ducked low, rolling across the floor as the second blade struck sparks from the stone. He could feel the heat of the cut brush against his back. Too close. The crowd erupted in a storm of noise. Some cheered wildly for the alien warrior, certain the fight would end quickly. Others leaned forward, watching with sharp eyes, curious now about this human who had defied their expectations once before. The cadet rose to his feet, fists clenched, his breath steady. The insectoid hissed, its green eyes glowing with cruel hunger. Its mandibles clicked together in a rhythm that sounded like laughter. The cadet spoke softly, his voice almost lost in the roar of the arena. "You think I'm weak. You all think Earth is weak, but you don't know what it means to be human." The insectoid lunged again, faster this time. Four-bladed arms cut through the air in a deadly storm. The cadet dodged left, then right, his body moving with desperate speed. He felt the wind of every strike against his skin. One blade nicked his shoulder, leaving a shallow cut. Pain burned, but he gritted his teeth and kept moving. The creature pressed forward, forcing him back step by step. Its movements were relentless, a dance of blades designed to overwhelm. The cadet's boots scraped across the arena floor, his chest rising and falling with quick breaths. He could not match the creature's strength or its speed. He needed something else. And then he remembered. His mind flashed to the stories of Earth's past. Humans who had faced swords with nothing but courage. Soldiers who had fought tanks with only rifles. People who had stood against storms, hunger, fire, and death itself, and survived. Humanity's strength had never been in claws or armor. Humanity's strength had always been in will. The cadet steadied himself. He stopped retreating. He planted his feet firmly on the ground. The insectoid hissed again, rushing forward, blades slicing down in a crosscut meant to split him in two. But this time the cadet didn't just dodge. He stepped into the strike, slipping between the arms by the smallest of margins. The blades cut the air an inch from his skin, but they missed. And in that moment he struck. His fist slammed into the side of the creature's chest, right between the plates of chitin. The blow was not enough to break it, but it forced the insectoid back with a surprised hiss. The crowd gasped. The cadet pressed forward, striking again and again, each blow aimed at the same spot. Crack by crack, the armor began to weaken. The insectoid screeched in anger, lashing out wildly. One blade grazed the cadet's thigh, drawing blood. But still he moved forward. Pain flared, but he used it as fuel. He shouted with each strike, his voice carrying across the arena. "This is the spirit of Earth." Crack. "This is what you call weak." Crack. "We don't break. We endure." With a final punch, the plate shattered. The creature reeled back, its chest exposed. The cadet leapt forward, driving his fist into the soft flesh beneath. The insectoid screamed, its legs stumbling as it collapsed onto the floor. The arena fell into silence. The cadet stood over the fallen warrior, chest heaving, blood dripping from his wounds. His uniform was torn, his arms bruised, but his eyes were steady. He looked up at the council. at the galaxy watching, and raised his voice. "You think Earth breeds no warriors. But we are warriors in every breath we take. We fight the cold. We fight the dark. We fight each other, and we survive. That is what it means to be human." For the first time, the crowd did not laugh. They did not mock. They watched in silence, the echo of his words ringing louder than any cheer. The insectoid twitched once, then lay still. The trial's second challenger had fallen. The council whispered among themselves, their glowing eyes sharp and uncertain. One spoke at last, his voice slow, heavy with doubt. "This human is dangerous." The cadet wiped the blood from his forehead with the back of his hand. His body ached, his wounds burned, but his spirit was unbroken. He stood tall in the center of the arena, a lone figure surrounded by thousands, yet unshaken. And as the whispers spread through the crowd, a single truth began to take root in the hearts of those watching. Perhaps Earth was not as weak as they believed. Perhaps Earth still carried the spirit of warriors. The cadet lowered his fists but did not relax. He knew what was coming. The council would not stop. More challengers would come. The galaxy's pride would not allow them to admit defeat so easily. But he also knew something else. With every fight, every strike, every breath, he was proving that Earth was more than they had ever imagined. And in that moment, standing bloody but unbroken, the cadet understood. He was not fighting only for himself. He was fighting for his world, for every human who had ever struggled, endured, and survived. He whispered to himself, his words almost lost in the silence. "I am not alone. The spirit of Earth fights with me." And the trial continued. The arena floor was stained with dust and blood. The insectoid warrior lay motionless, its bladed limbs broken, its green eyes dim. For the second time that day, a human had brought down a champion. The crowd, once loud with laughter, now sat in stunned silence. Thousands of alien faces stared at the cadet, some with disbelief, some with fear, and a few, though they did not dare admit it aloud, with respect. The cadet stood tall in the center of the arena. His uniform was torn, his arms and legs marked with cuts, but his eyes were bright, unyielding. He breathed hard, yet his stance was steady. Every part of his body screamed with pain, but his spirit burned hotter than ever. Above him, the council whispered in low voices. Their glowing eyes turned toward each other, uncertain. What had started as a public humiliation for Earth was now becoming dangerous. The crowd was no longer mocking. They were watching. And if the galaxy began to admire this human, the balance of power could shift. The council leader rose. His voice boomed across the arena, heavy with authority. "Two victories mean nothing. The galaxy has seen tricks before. Let the trial continue. Let the human prove himself again." The crowd stirred at the words. Some cheered, hungry for more blood. Others stayed quiet, still processing what they had seen. But one truth had settled deep in their minds. This human was no ordinary cadet. The next gate rumbled open. From within, another challenger emerged. This one was not as massive as the first, nor as strange as the second. Instead, he wore shining armor, polished to a silver glow, and carried a spear that pulsed with blue energy. He moved with calm precision, each step measured, each breath steady. He was not a beast. He was not a monster. He was a soldier, a trained warrior of the highest rank. The cadet narrowed his eyes. This opponent was different. There would be no wild rage to exploit, no openings born of arrogance. This was a fighter who knew discipline, and that made him dangerous. The armored warrior pointed his spear toward the cadet. His voice was cold without emotion. "You are strong for a human, but strength is not enough. Today you will learn the meaning of defeat." The cadet raised his fists again. His body trembled with fatigue, but his voice carried steady. "Maybe, or maybe you'll learn the meaning of Earth." The council gave the signal. The trial continued. The warrior charged first, his spear striking with blinding speed. The cadet leapt aside, the weapon missing his chest by inches. A flash of blue light burst from the spear as it cut into the floor. The crowd gasped at its power. The cadet pressed in, throwing quick punches, but the warrior blocked them with ease. His armor absorbed the blows. The spear spun in his hands like a living thing, striking from every angle. The cadet barely managed to dodge, each movement costing him strength. The crowd leaned forward. This was different. This was not one-sided mockery, nor a shocking upset. This was a true battle, Warrior against warrior. The cadet's breaths grew shorter, his wounds burning. Every second felt heavier. But still, he fought. He dodged, he struck, he endured. His body bent but did not break. And as he fought, he remembered Earth again. He remembered the farmers who worked through storms, the miners who dug deep into stone, the children who grew up in hardship but still smiled. He remembered his people's long history, not of victory but of survival. Humanity had always been underestimated, and yet humanity still endured. He whispered under his breath, even as the spear slashed past his side. This is who we are. We survive. The warrior's spear struck again, grazing his arm. Pain shot through him, but the cadet caught the shaft with his bare hand, holding it for a single breath. The crowd gasped. The warrior's eyes widened. With a shout, the cadet twisted the spear aside and drove his fist into the warrior's helmet. The blow rang like a bell. The warrior staggered back. The arena erupted, gasps, shouts, whispers. The human had struck through armor. The warrior steadied himself, his eyes burning with anger. He charged again, faster than before. The cadet barely kept up, dodging, weaving, striking when he could. Every movement was pain, but pain had become his fuel. Minutes stretched like hours. The cadet's body was near its limit, but he refused to fall. His will burned brighter than the agony. His spirit was louder than the crowd. At last, the warrior made a mistake. He thrust too quickly, overcommitted. The cadet slipped inside the strike, driving his shoulder into the warrior's chest. The spear flew from his hands. The crowd rose to their feet. The cadet struck once, twice, a third time. Each blow echoed through the arena, until the armored warrior collapsed to the floor. His helmet cracked, his body broken. The cadet stood over him, chest heaving, blood dripping, but unbroken. He raised his head toward the council. His voice was raw but strong. 3 challengers, 3 victories. Still you say Earth breeds no warriors? The silence was deafening. Across the arena, whispers spread like fire. Entire species who had mocked humans only hours ago now sat in stunned silence, their laughter gone. For the first time, the galaxy trembled. Not at the sight of fleets or weapons, but at the spirit of one human who refused to fall. The cadet clenched his fists again, ready for more. He knew it was not over. The council would never allow Earth's honor to stand so easily. But already something had changed. He was no longer just a cadet, no longer just one soldier. He was the voice of his world, the living proof of its strength. And the galaxy, though it fought to deny it, had begun to fear him. The arena floor was a battlefield. Dust, cracks, and dark stains marked every step of the cadet's struggle. 3 challengers had fallen, and yet he still stood. His arms hung heavy, his uniform torn, blood dripping from fresh wounds. Every breath was fire. His body wanted to collapse, but his spirit refused. Above, the council sat in uneasy silence. Their plan had been simple: humiliate the human, remind the galaxy that Earth was nothing. Instead, this cadet had turned their trial into a stage of defiance. Every strike, every word, every victory had planted a seed in the hearts of the audience. One council member leaned forward, his voice sharp with frustration. He is breaking the order. Look at the crowd. They no longer laugh. They watch him as if he were one of their own champions. Another hissed. If he wins again, it will not just be Earth's honor that rises. It will be hope. And hope spreads faster than fear. The leader of the council rose, his eyes glowing with cold fire. Then hope must die here. Bring out the final challenger. The largest gate of the arena shook. The sound of chains and thunderous footsteps echoed from the darkness within. The ground trembled as the gate rose, and then it appeared, a giant. Its body was taller than 3 men wrapped in black iron plates. Its eyes burned with red light, and its fists were the size of boulders. It carried no weapon, it didn't need one, was strength itself, bred for destruction. The crowd gasped. Even among them, the beast was known, the council's ultimate enforcer, a creature that had crushed armies, that had ended rebellions, that had never lost. The cadet stared at it. His heart pounded, not with fear but with grim resolve. This was the test the council had wanted all along. The trial was never about fairness. It was about breaking him. He whispered to himself, "Then break me if you can." The signal was given. The giant roared and charged. Its footsteps shook the arena like an earthquake. The cadet barely had time to move before a massive fist slammed into the ground where he had stood, leaving a crater of shattered stone. Dust filled the air. The cadet rolled aside, lungs burning, body screaming. He knew one strike would kill him. He could not match this beast's strength. He needed something else. The giant swung again, a wall of muscle and iron. The cadet ducked low, the wind of the blow nearly knocking him off his feet. His body ached, but his mind raced. He could not fight this monster head-on. He had to outthink it. He circled, forcing the giant to turn. Its movements were powerful but slow. Its strikes left brief openings, small gaps, but enough for a human willing to risk everything. The cadet darted forward, striking at the giant's knee. His fist hit iron and pain shot up his arm, but the joint bent slightly. The beast roared, swinging down, but the cadet was already gone, sliding to the side. The crowd was on edge, their voices rising. This was not just survival anymore. This was a war between wills. Again and again the cadet struck. Knees, elbows, gaps in the armor. Each hit was small, but each left a mark. His body took punishment in return. A glancing blow to the side that felt like being hit by a hammer. A near miss that tore the ground beside him. Blood dripped from his lip. His legs trembled. Still he fought. The giant raised both fists and slammed them down, trying to crush him. At the last second, the cadet rolled forward, inside the monster's reach. He climbed its armored frame, fists pounding into the weak spots he had found. The crowd erupted, half in terror, half in awe, as the human scaled the giant like a predator. The cadet roared with every strike, each punch fueled by the spirit of 1,000 generations. This is for every voice you silenced. Crack. This is for every world you crushed. Crack. This is for Earth. With one final scream, he drove his fist into the giant's glowing eye. The monster howled, staggering backward. Its massive body shook, then toppled, crashing to the ground with thunderous force. Silence. The cadet stood atop the fallen giant, his body shaking, his chest heaving, but his spirit blazing like fire. The crowd exploded into sound. Cheers, shouts, cries of disbelief. For the first time in living memory, the Council's ultimate enforcer had been defeated, and not by a fleet, not by an army, by a single human cadet. The cadet raised his hand, bloodied but steady, and his voice carried across the arena. You asked why Earth breeds no fighters. You said we are weak, but now you have seen. We fight not because we are born strong, but because we cannot afford to fall. We fight because it is the only way we survive. That is what makes us human. The words cut deeper than any blade. Across the arena, species from every corner of the galaxy stared in silence. Their old beliefs shattered. Some felt fear. Others felt admiration. And some for the first time felt hope. The Council sat frozen. Their plan had failed. They had tried to make Earth a joke. Instead, they had given it a champion. The cadet stepped down from the giant's body, his movements slow, his wounds heavy, but his eyes burning bright. He had survived the trial. More than survived, he had conquered it. And in that moment he was no longer just a cadet, no longer just one man. He was the spirit of his world, the voice of his people. A legend born in blood and defiance. The galaxy would remember this day. The day a lone human stood against the impossible. The day Earth's fire refused to die. The day the legend began.